In this video we're going to have a look at the technology that's going to get us to net zero carbon by 2050. Just have a quick look at the tabs I've got open here and then we'll go through them in more detail. First of all, this is the ANU PHES, that's pumped hydro energy storage. They've done some research to show the different locations on Earth where there are geographical locations that can be turned into dams and then pump water up and down the hill to store energy, and it's quite amazing. But yeah, there's some weird things that have happened with where they've actually put the pumped hydro energy storage projects that don't quite line up, so we'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, here's one of them near Mackay in Queensland. That's a pretty big project actually, 750 megawatts, and yeah, there's a few others, but yeah, of course Snowy 2.0. So that's the reason I'm sort of doing this video as well, is because people say, oh, there's a climate change and we need more action. So, and then they say, what action do we need, or what actions people don't even know, you know. I mean, there's people like me and maybe you know, but there's a lot of people that don't know. So yeah, that's why I thought I'd do this video, just sort of consolidating my knowledge into a speed run of the most significant things. But yeah, Snowy 2.0 will be pretty significant, but Australia will need probably around 12 of Snowy 2.0 or alternative technology solutions to have renewable dispatchable power. As in, for example, at night time during a heat wave, when everyone runs the aircon and all that, charge their cars, etc. So yeah, looking at the map of where Snowy 2.0 is versus the ANU research showing, I don't know why they put that project there, but yeah, Polaris, that's a project by Helion Energy. This is a really exciting project. So it basically makes two plasma donuts and smashes them together, and then it doesn't even use steam turbines or anything. It's direct back to electromagnet energy capture. But yeah, we'll go into more detail about that, but that's pretty cool. It looks pretty cool as well. It's like glowing pink. They used to be called Vast Renewables, now they're called Vast Energy. And the CEO of Vast Energy was nice enough to talk to me for an hour. It was quite a while ago now, and I meant to do a video talking about their stuff. Actually, I was gonna. That's all AI generated images. I was going to try and do this project. It was a desktop project for Arena, and I just ended up having other stuff to do, and I didn't really lose interest, but yeah, it just didn't pan out. Anyway, yeah, I was talking to him about that, and but yeah, I'll talk more about this when we go through more detail. They've got some patented technology that's pretty good, and they're rolling out their projects, and they're going to make money and have net zero carbon. So, and yeah, here's another interesting website that I look at quite a lot, especially like I think when it's hot weather, or when it's yeah, like today it's a hot day in Adelaide in South Australia. So or if it's quite windy, I'll think, oh, the wind is cranking today, we'll be getting a lot of wind energy. But yeah, it's called the NEM or NEM Dashboard. It's actually not that easy to find, so I'll put the links for these tabs in the description for the video so people can find it. But I've actually got this as a shortcut on my home screen on my phone, just so I can pull it up quick to have a look. But yeah, we'll come back to this. It's got some interesting stuff, like you can look at the fuel mix of how different states are using fuel, like wind, solar, etc. So this one's a massive one. This is actually so gigantic. Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna. I'll be very stoked if this happens, even if it happens to a tenth of the amount that they're planning, because 70 gigawatts. Yeah, and that kind of relates back to why I had the dashboard there, because you can see how much power we use in Australia. In Australia, we use about 20 gigawatts, and so they're going to do 70 gigawatts. And this, I don't think this is going to be connected to any of the other grids. This is going to be like a standalone thing, and they're just going to generate power and then turn salt water into hydrogen and make desal water for the people that live there. Like, they're just kind of a permanent little new city there. Have a data center there as well, so it's all, I guess, modular, and they'll have to have an airport and everything. We'll go into more detail about it, but yeah, I've seen the plans. It's pretty exciting. Yeah, they're going to build a port for shipping and stuff. Yeah, the next one is looking at sodium batteries. Yeah, I'm not sure how people perceive sodium batteries if people have heard of them or if that sounds like future technology, but you can just go on Alibaba right now and order sodium batteries. As someone's made a sodium battery powered electric skateboard. You can buy a sodium battery like home batteries. They're not like a polished, Panasonic or whatever, whatever brand name one. Some niche company's gone and made a solution, but yeah, you can definitely buy sodium batteries. They're out there. So yeah, there's some benefits and things to sodium batteries that I'll discuss more. Yeah, as you can see, you can just buy them. It's just a battery. It's no big deal. So all right, yeah, let's go back to the start. We'll go back through this in a bit more detail. My forecast for 2050, as far as tech development goes, is it'll be roughly about 5 times the amount of tech development that we've had from 2000 to 2025. And if you think about it, it's probably pretty reasonable. Could be less, could be more. It's probably more, but it's just hard to even imagine it being more. As in, we'll have more development by 2050 than 5 times the amount from 2000 to 2025. But anyway, to get an idea, let's just roll with it. Okay, let's just assume I'm right with the 5 times amount, because it just keeps increasing, and we'll just say it's 5 times for now. Just to get an idea of where we'll be in 2050. Let's think back to where we were in 2000 and the difference between that and now, being January 2025 now. Yeah, in 2000 there was only 400 million people connected to the internet at about 56 kilobit per second, which is, by today's standards, that's absolutely pathetic. Using, dial-up, and so mobile phones, we had the Nokia 3310. Just had voice and SMS, minimal data. So we didn't really have laptops. Like, laptops were really pretty fancy to have a laptop back then. Obviously, Windows 2000 just came out, so everyone would have been using like Windows 3.1, 95. Intel Pentium 4 was the best thing of the time. So we didn't have solid state drives back then. It was all just the iron oxide discs. PlayStation 2 with 480p graphics was the best thing, and then DVD players were just starting to replace VHS players at home. Digital cameras were just starting to come out, and so by today's standards, not exciting, right? But yeah, today we've got 5 billion people on the internet. Speeds are pretty fast. We've got 5G pretty much everywhere. Well, it's getting there, right? So Elon's going to have the Starlink direct to phone 5G. So maybe this year you could argue that we do have 5G absolutely everywhere, including, South Pole and everything. Yeah, smartphones getting better. We've got AR, so augmented reality glasses. We've got the AI that's been crazy over the last few weeks. Wearables, Neuralink, for example, that's, the ultra slim laptops. So, we've got AI chips in the laptops these days. It's pretty common. You can just go to the Officeworks and buy that. It's not a big deal. Gaming consoles, 4K, 8K resolution, VR, and VR headsets where the whole gaming computer is in the headset. So, I'm just saying stuff that's already existing now. That's, we should know this, but I'm just refreshing everyone's memory of where we're at. So the difference between 2025 and 2000 is quite significant. So then, all right, so what are we going to have in 2050? That's the big question. So it's virtually impossible to project out 5 cycles of technology progress of that significance from the difference of the last 2 times that I've described there, right? Like 5 generations of that is going to happen by 2050, maybe. ChatGPT is helping me speculate here that we're going to have about 8 billion people connected to the internet with, crazy speeds. It'll be like, when you plug your computer into your home network, 100 gigabit per second. That's, faster than you need. I don't even know why you'd need it to be that fast. I guess in the future it'll just, programs will be written that just utilize that. Convergence of devices is an interesting one. I don't really know how to take that. I guess it'll be like all the different little computers will communicate with each other, and saying you've got computers in your clothing, wearables and implants like Neuralink, and next gen computing likely to shift towards quantum. There you go. That is actually pretty significant. So I'm going to do a whole nother video about that actually, but the 3-way feedback loop between AI, quantum computing and fusion technology, so they all basically help each other, and there's like a feedback loop between each one. So you basically got 3 feedback loops, but then they all the feedback loops all help each other as well. So the timeline isn't all at the same time, really. But, yeah, hopefully fusion's around the corner. Quantum computing will be a bit further away than that probably before we can really start to use it to help things a lot. But yeah, by 2050 that almost certainly will have matured, even not just occurred but matured. And yeah, it's we don't even really know exactly what to expect, but material science and engineering will just be completely unimaginable. All right, let's go back to pumped hydro energy storage, because for me in Australia we've got a lot of space and we've got geographical location, so I want to zoom out here, but I don't want to lose this location. So before I zoom out, I just want to show this. This project is going to be in Mackay. So they're saying, they didn't say exactly where it is, but it's somewhere in this river here. So I'm assuming the pumped hydro energy storage that they're proposing to do will be one of these dots. So just to show how this map works, so you just click on one of these. If I was going to put a pumped hydro energy storage here, I would want two big dams that are close together so that my tunnel doesn't have to be very long, and I get good, here we go, good return on investment. So that one, red dots the darker red dot has more energy storage. Yeah, so we've got a head height of 673 meters. That's a height difference. That's pretty good. Separation, so you have to have a tunnel that's 3 kilometers long. Volume in gigaliters, so it's only 10 gigaliters. Oh, it's that little one there. So yeah, it's not that big, but still. So 15 gigawatt hours. So at the moment, roughly that could run Australia for an hour. Yeah, so that probably isn't the one. I mean, that might be the one. I don't know. But anyway, there's lots of different locations there. So I was worried initially that I'd looked at the map wrong, and I thought they were going to put it in a place like they did with Snowy 2.0, where there was this algorithm hadn't picked it up. Which the significance of that is, for Snowy 2.0, ANU released this map just before the government gave the green light to Snowy 2.0 being where it is, and Snowy 2.0 isn't on the... So this is where Snowy 2.0 is on Google Maps. So you can see these features here, these two rivers, or whatever, lakes, and there's the two lakes, and there's Snowy 2.0. So why are we doing pumped hydro energy storage here if the ANU's really amazing algorithm that's picked up all these other locations where we can do pumped hydro energy storage, it hasn't picked it up there? You've got to ask why they did it. I'd love it if they could correct me and say, oh, there's a legit, this is actually a good spot, but yeah, it's questionable, right? Like, was it engineers' ego, or someone owns that land, or someone's made a deal? I'm just speculating, I don't know, but yeah, in any case, I do trust the ANU's work here, because it's just an algorithm that just goes through and scans the geographical location, what do they call it, the geographical features, and then the algorithm just goes, dig a tunnel from there to there, this is how much energy you'll get. You can see how many there are. Okay, so I'll zoom out now, just so you can see there's just so many. Like, even I think Tasmania, you only have to choose probably choose about 10 of these or something, and then you've got enough energy to run Australia for like a week or whatever. That might be an exaggeration. I looked at this a while ago and ran some numbers, but it's in that sort of ballpark. So yeah, Snowy 2.0 will be good when it's done. It's the first of its kind. You can see it just everywhere. So they're running into a lot of problems with Snowy 2.0, which is unfortunate, but I guess we'll just get it out of the way, and then we know for the future. Like, it was bogged in sand, I think, for 18 months, these tunnel boring machines. I can't even imagine. And they're burning $1 million a day on that project, whether it's making progress or not. I mean, it's just... it's unfortunate, right? So yeah, you can see South Australia, Adelaide's pretty flat, so there's not that many, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so this one doesn't show up, I don't think, but you can do pumped hydro energy storage to the sea, so you can do salt water, but and then obviously you've just got salt water sitting on the land all the time, so that's that can be an issue, obviously, but it still could be worth doing it if you either don't care about the salt or do something to mitigate the salt absorption. But yeah, I've heard people talking about doing salt. It was in the Sahara Desert or something. You could dig a channel in and then let the water come in and evaporate, and then mine the salt, and you just have a nice flow rate, just enough so that the water's always evaporating, and then just keep digging out the salt and use that as basically like hydropower from the sea. With sodium batteries, that's an easy way to get sodium, right? Yeah, we might see some weird things like that start happening in the next, decade or so, maybe even only 5 years. So you can see there's plenty of locations, right? So we'll move on from pumped hydro energy storage. I could have been a bit more organised about that, so if you've hung in there with me through that, then well done. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think many people know about this. Every time I mention it, people go, "Huh? What are you talking about?" Yeah, there's a lot of locations. Then just for the rest of the other viewers around the world, have a quick look. So yeah, you can see they're just everywhere, right? I mean, Europe's loaded. Look at that. USA, Canada loaded. South America. So as long as it's not too flat, you've got locations you can do pumped hydro energy storage. Before I move on from pumped hydro energy storage, it is really aimed at just being storage. It doesn't generate power. So it's a pretty significant point that, if, it's like we could just basically run the world on pumped hydro energy storage and solar, like just those two technologies together. You'd have to have a lot of solar, but it would work, So then obviously you have a mixture of other things, and then that beautifully segued into other things like Helion energy, fusion power. So I'll just run this video. It's a pretty nice little video. They just put this out recently. Everyone's kind of hanging out for them to do what they said they were going to do, which was test and run Polaris in 2024, or by the end of 2024. So maybe they did, but they didn't want to release their results yet, I'm guessing. It's pretty nice camera work, hey? But yeah, I mean, they might have already had net positive reaction. They just haven't. Maybe they want to run it a few times to know for sure. See what that pink flash, that was them running the machine. Polaris up here, this is the was it the 5th or 7th generation unit they've got. But yeah, they've had a massive investment from Microsoft and some other iron refinery company. I can't remember what it was, but it was like in the 50 million or something amount of. I think they've basically said we'll buy that from you. I don't know if they've handed over the money yet, but they've committed to buying that from Helion Energy. They've said they want this much energy to run data centers. You've got a customer ready to go. Yeah, this is their capacitors. Does it say it's capacitors? I know that it is because I've seen the videos. But yeah, that's their capacitor making, part of their capacitor making production line. So these big steel, I think, boxes, or it might be aluminium. But these boxes, and they're making these big capacitors, and they've got them on a pallet rack just because they need so much energy stored to pulse that machine. Like to pulse their fusion machine. I think these might be the pallet racks, so that's the back of them or something. They've got like those connections. But yeah, basically my understanding, this is good. So my understanding of how it works is the electromagnets start the two plasma, I'll just call them donuts, in each end of the machine, and then they use the electromagnets to then fire them down into the middle, and they go down these conical shape, they get compressed and they hit together, and then the fusion reaction happens, and then they use the electromagnets. I don't know if they use the same ones or different ones or exactly how they've got it set up, but they use electromagnets again to recover ideally all of the energy from that fusion reaction. So that's why they need all the capacitors, right? So, you have all your energy in the capacitors, dump that into the fusion reactor. It does its reaction, and then the energy comes back into the capacitors again. And then ideally it'll be a net positive, and you'll have a little bit more in the capacitors than you had before. And then however they do it, whether if I was setting it up, I'd daisy chain them around so that you only need enough capacitors to run one unit, and then when the power comes out of the first one, it goes into the second one, and then so it just goes do 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 do, keeps pulsing around, So like for one firing from the capacitor, you can fire every reaction, every fusion reactor can get powered in sequence, and then they all have a little net positive amount that either, I guess, just goes into the grid or goes into the whatever appliance is plugged into it, whether it's Microsoft's AI computers or the iron ore guys. I'm not exactly sure what you'd use it with iron ore, whether it's electrolysis or like a smelting thing or something. But yeah, they need a lot of energy for that as well. So anyway, yeah, a bit of speculation there by me, but I guess we'll find out eventually once they start. Hopefully, if they do get net positive power out of it. I mean, this will be huge. If they do this will be on the 6 o'clock news, you know, it'll be everywhere. They might only just mention it for a couple of minutes, but yeah, it'll be on the news when they announce that they've done this, because that changes everything. It's yeah, it's a bit of a binary thing, right? It's like they either have or they haven't done it. Once they've done it, it'll show the world that it can be done, and the money will come flooding in, and yeah, they'll be able to make these modular units. And yeah, so like one reactor is about the size of a shipping container, and then you need probably at least another one shipping container. From what I've seen from their facility, you know, it'd almost be like, yeah, like maybe 12 shipping containers for all the capacitors and you know, supporting electronics and stuff. But yeah, you could take this out to a mining site, for example, or if there's some sort of a natural disaster and you need power, you could roll that out, and yeah, you just have heaps of power, you know, without any pollution, and just sits there like minimal moving parts. Doesn't have a steam turbine or anything. Yeah, it is actually. I mean, they've got to pump the gas in and out, but it's yeah. Anyway, I'll move on. I'm talking about it too much. I love this project, but yeah, I'm hoping we'll see it. I'm hoping we'll see them announce net positive power soon. So the Vast Energy is what they're called now, but they used to be called Vast Renewables. They do concentrated solar thermal, which you may have seen before, but these guys do it differently. So they use an array of towers, which luckily I was able to talk to the CEO of Vast Renewables for about an hour. One day, I wasn't an interview, but it was just a discussion about doing a bit of research for doing a video, not like this, but sort of similar, to just talk about solar and the difference between you know, megawatts and megawatt hours, and you know, because I was just seeing politicians make silly mistakes when they're doing these presentations and when they're arguing in the you know, the question time in the parliament. It's kind of obvious they didn't know what they were talking about. I mean, sounds harsh, but yeah, essentially, you know, I'm not trying to rip them to shreds. They don't know what they're talking about, but they didn't quite understand the nuances of the things they were trying to make policies around. It's unfortunate, right? You know, they're using all our taxpayer dollar to try and solve these problems. I mean, they see it as a problem, but anyway, getting sidetracked. But Vast Energy, they've got an array of towers. So I believe the reason they did that is because the further distance you go, so you might have seen those some towers, like the normal way to have concentrated solar thermal is just one big tower. I think they even had one in Mission Impossible or one of those movies. They have one big tower surrounded by mirrors in the desert, and you know, the more mirrors and the bigger the tower, the more power, right? Well, you sort of get diminishing returns, because once it gets bigger and bigger, because the light has to travel through so much more air that it's like harder to focus it, and the little dust in the air just makes it less efficient. So, you know, it still works, but yeah, these guys have been doing it this way, and they're reporting that it's more efficient. What they also do, which you can sort of see here hopefully in the video, they've got this little infrastructure joining them up. Now that's not, well, there'll be some electronics and stuff in there, right? But what they do is run pipes full of sodium. Sodium normally reacts with water and does that crazy, you know, kind of like an explosion. But yeah, so it's obviously just pure sodium in there with no contamination. Sodium melts, I think, at 99 degrees Celsius. So water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. So you get that really nice overlap from liquid sodium boil. If you use it to boil water, yeah, it works really well. And then what they can do as well to just start the system up to liquefy all the sodium is just run power through it as if it's just like a, you know, very low ohmage resistor, or they can, you know, put heater elements along it or whatever. But yeah, they just heat up the sodium to get it flowing, and then they can pump it through it. You know, it's, I'm not sure what the evaporation temperature of sodium is, you know, thousands of degrees probably or something, maybe it's 1,000 degrees, but so heat it up and then pump it through the water turbine, you know, and then it's just they just treat it from there like a normal gas power plant, where they just boil water and spin the turbine. You know, you can just basically select from a catalogue of whatever turbine you want, General Electric turbine, and put put it in there, and there you go. So yeah, so what then? There's many different ways you can store the energy. So you can store the heat energy in sand, or I'm not actually sure how they store it with these system. I'd assume they probably have a sand heat setup, but yeah, it doesn't really matter however they store it. But you can have basically just a big thermal mass that's insulated. You heat it up during the day, and then when you want power at night, use that to spin the turbine and put power into the grid. Yeah, there's your dispatchable power, and they can adjust it like perfectly to just use the energy that they've stored to make money, basically. Like that's what the CEO was saying. Like he's doing us a favor by being net zero carbon, but it's a financial investment. He's going to make return on investment on this thing. Yeah, once that's the other point, when these projects start to actually just be economically viable without anything else, like without any government subsidies, then they're just going to start to take over the gas and coal anyway. So I don't know how long that's going to take, but 5, 10, 15 years, who knows. But I'm almost certain that this is all going to be fully rolled out and cranking by 2050. That's this will probably be obsolete by then. They'll have something better than this, right? So moving on to the NEM dashboard. So probably most people have never seen this before, but I love it. It's really shows how the grid works in Australia. So this is just for Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, and South Australia and Tasmania. So I'll show that first. Where are we? Dispatch overview, and you can see the interconnectors. So these were red earlier today. They've settled down now because people are going to bed. It's 9:30 in Adelaide. So earlier on these were maxed out, and that's when strange things happen to the power. Sometimes they go negative because they want people to use more power because they don't want to turn off the gas because they're making too much power and they're sending it interstate, from the solar and the wind or whatever. But other times, if it's maxing out the other way, they'll just increase the price heaps because they can't make enough power, so they're trying to hinder people from using power, which doesn't, most people don't care, but the big commercial users will change. But yeah, you can see it's just changed there, so it's updated, gone up a bit. But anyway, you can see all the states here that are on the NEM. And so we'll go to fuel mix is the other one that I like to look at. So we'll just look at SA to start with, which I'm pretty proud of us normally. What do we got? 63% gas. So we're, even at night time here, we've got a little bit of renewables. It's not too bad. That's current. So we'll do 24 hours and see how we went today. So, yeah, not bad. So over the last 24 hours, we've only used 27% fossil fuel or non-renewable. So, that's pretty good. Imagine if the whole world was like that. Let's go for 12 months, and so last 24 hours was similar to the last 12 months, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, the rest of Australia isn't as good as South Australia, so we look at NEM. That's the whole, it's Australia minus Northern Territory and Western Australia, basically. Lots of coal. Still, wind is getting up there, so we've got a long way to go. But Tasmania's an interesting one. 5% gas. So I think that gas is sort of just there as like an emergency backup virtually, they could probably turn it off, but they just have it as a backup. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, they use it from time to time. Looks like so they use it just in winter to just boost things, I guess. Anyway, I'll move on from that, but yeah, that's an interesting one. I'll put the links for all the tabs I've got here, including this one, to so people can have a look, because I don't know, maybe this is too geeked out for most people, but I find it interesting. I'm guessing some other people will as well. So let's have a look at this one. So 70 gigawatts. I was kind of shocked when I saw this, 70 gigawatt project, because before we move on too quick, I'll just show. So just the last 24 hours for all of Australia, or NEM, which is almost all of Australia. So we're peaking here. So what are we at? So, oh wow, it was using quite a lot of power because we had a heat wave. So looks like we're about 25 gigawatts we were using, something like that, roughly. Right, so just keep that in mind. We used about 25 gigawatts yesterday in the middle of, that was yesterday night, right. So 25 gigawatts. And these guys want to do 70 gigawatts, more than double what we're using, right? Like, that's crazy. And it's all going to be renewable. So no coal, no gas. Oh yeah, here we go. Right. So yeah, there's a bit more detail in this one. Oh yeah, this guy, Giles, I think that's how he says his name, Parkinson. I've had a little bit of back and forth with him on X, and yeah, he's a pretty nice guy. Yeah, I think he runs Renew Economy, this publication website. Anyway, yeah, you can see the site they're proposing here. All these little nodes, and I guess they're roads, and they're going to put a harbour in here so they can get shipping in. But yeah, this is absolutely massive project. Like, it'd have to be like at least 10-year project, right? Anyway, yeah, I'll move on from that. But I'm I'm kind of shocked. I don't know. I'm hoping this is going to happen. Just, it seems too good to be true, but we'll see. So yeah, they're going to run computers, make hydrogen out of seawater, and desal seawater for the people that live there with the energy. And yeah, hopefully it can be economically viable for them. And yeah, we'll see. So anyway, last one here. I just want to talk about sodium batteries. So sodium batteries, as I was saying, sodium is in the seawater, so you can just, if you desal seawater, depending how you do it, which there's some new technology that's quite interesting for desalination. That's it's beyond the scope of this video, but they just run the water through these thin membranes, and the water separates out. The salt keeps migrating towards one side instead of the other, and you can do that lots of times. And then instead of having like steam condensed water, it's just salt water with almost all of the salt taken out. It's a very efficient way to do salt water. But yeah, so anyway, when you're doing desal, you end up with sodium, depending how you do it. And then yeah, you can use sodium from the sodium chloride from the salt to do sodium batteries. Yeah, so the thing with sodium batteries is they give you can get about I think 5 times more cycles, maybe even 10 times more cycles out of them than you can with lithium. So yeah, right, so they're saying 30% cheaper than lithium battery. Yeah, so the return on investment is the thing you have to consider when you're doing lithium batteries, or any battery, or any investment really, return on investment. But yeah, with lithium batteries, say, as an example, we'll just say you can get a 1 kilowatt hour battery, so that means that it'll give you 1 kilowatt for 1 hour. Let's just say you can get that for $1,000, and let's say that battery, you can cycle it for 2,000 times before it just doesn't have the guts to run your inverter or whatever you're trying to do. Like, theoretically you can put the energy in there and get it back out, but it's just like the voltage drops too much now, and it's like a waste. It's like when you have an old battery in the car and you try and turn it, it's like it just doesn't have the power to turn the engine. Like, theoretically you can still charge it up 12 volts, but it's no good anymore, right? So so it's 1 kilowatt hour battery, does 2,000 cycles for $1,000. So out of that battery, you're only ever going to get 2,000 kilowatt hours for its whole life, and you're paying $1,000 for it. So you divide 1,000 by 2,000, gives you 50 cents per kilowatt hour. But you can just plug into the power point and get power cheaper than that. So yeah, that's the question you have to basically ask. Now, lithium batteries just over the last 12 months have gone cheap enough where it is becoming economically viable, and the cycle life is starting to get a bit better as well. So yeah, it's just starting to tip over to the point now where if you've got extra solar power that you can't feed into the grid at a good price, or for whatever reason you can't do anything with it, it's now actually becoming economically viable to buy a battery and get more the opportunity cost. The opportunity cost for the investment works out that in the long run you actually save a little bit of money, and then you've got your the advantage of having power when there's a blackout if it's rigged up correctly, right? So that's the argument that people used to have is you don't have to worry about blackouts anymore. So when things were getting a bit sketchy over the last few years, I can see why people would want to have that independence, but you don't need to have that argument anymore as an excuse to get batteries on your house, because it is actually economically viable. But sodium battery is actually even better than that, and they're just not quite on the market yet. Like if you want to get a sodium battery for your house, like they're sort of showing this thing in here, I guess that's supposed to be a sodium battery. They're not quite on the market yet. Like if you were going to buy a sodium battery now, I'd say, hey, just hang on, like at least wait 6 months or something. Like wait for a reputable company to offer a nice polished product. Even though the crazy thing is, right, you can buy sodium batteries. Like if you go onto Alibaba or whatever, some bulk supply website, you can buy sodium batteries the same way you can buy lithium batteries. It's just that the lithium home battery, production line or whatever, maybe they've stocked up on lithium batteries too much, or I don't know what, maybe they're still in the stage of developing the actual product. The development cycle of a complicated product takes quite a long time. Which is, if you want it to be safe and everything, that's good. But yeah, sodium batteries are actually safer as well. There's a lot of benefits of sodium batteries. So they have a much longer cycle life as well, like more like 10,000 cycles, something like that. Which, if you think every day, so we're saying 10 divided by 365, 27 years. That's crazy, Maybe I'm exaggerating the 10,000, but it was a lot. It's a lot of cycles. The sodium batteries. And so we just need to wait for the sodium batteries to be, just a normal product you can order from whatever company you ring up. Say, I want solar panels and I want a battery on the roof. What are your options? And they say, yeah, we've got this, name brand option, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no worries, put that in. You don't want to have to go online and go and buy some sodium battery on eBay, right, and hook it up yourself. That's because that's kind of where we're at now. It's they're out there, but they're not a easy to choose option. But they're coming. So I don't know. I went on a lot of tangents there, almost 50 minutes. So basically, the argument that I'm putting out is when people say, "Oh, climate crisis, whatever, we've got to do something." Well, yeah, we are. Like, look at all these things I've just gone through. We are doing things, and we've got a lot of things to look forward to, a lot of stuff to be proud of, and it is. It's exciting. There's things happening. There are things happening to deal with climate change. If you feel that climate change is really an issue, and if you're not worried about climate change, still there's all these amazing tech developments happening that have a lot of benefits other than just being net zero carbon, less pollution. I don't know if you've ever been in a city that has a lot of smog. That's not good. And obviously all the mining and stuff like that. But there's lots of positives to having renewables. And like some people say there's the negatives as well. Like people are bringing up the thing of the can't recycle the wind generator blades. Whatever. There's pros and cons, but in the future, I think I have a fair bit of certainty that by 2050 we'll look back on 2025's arguments about something's got to be done. We're running out of time. The kids are going to have no planet to live on. What about the sea level and blah blah blah? I feel like all those arguments are going to be they'll just be funny, we'll just think, oh, we were so worried about it, and look at this now, it's taken me a long time to get to this point in my mind. So I don't even really expect anyone to feel the same way that I do just by watching this video, but I would encourage you to think a bit more about what people are saying, that when they just have these throwaway comments like, oh yeah, it's they're worried about stuff, and then you ask them what are we going to do, and they don't even know. Like people don't know about all this stuff that I've just talked about, all these things that are happening. And I can go on and on as well about the sea level rise and stuff. Like I've researched all that quite a lot as well, and there's we've already got technology to mitigate a lot of that stuff. But yeah, again, like what do you think is going to happen by 2050? We're going to have even more like amazing technology we can't even imagine by 2050. I don't think we need to worry. Like I feel like we should sort out the cost of living, and that's really the minority of humans on Earth probably have that problem. That's like the cost of living has probably been a big issue for most humans this century on Earth. Developed countries that want to whinge, first world problems sort of stuff. But anyway, still sort that out, and then we can go. All right, now let's fix. Let's do the net zero carbon thing, and like having said all this now, right, and then going back to like thinking about all the stuff that's going to happen by 2050. I feel like we should leapfrog the current generation. So these guys. I mean, this is great, but maybe we can do something even better than this. Like these guys, we should invest heaps of money into that. Like he's probably getting some grants, maybe, but this guy should get heaps of grants. He should just be boosting along. Like no tax, whatever. Just let him develop. He can hire all the people, and then get to the next version of his technology quicker, right? And not just this guy, but everyone. Like we should have a Helion energy R&D team in Australia, or a fusion power thing in Australia. Which I mean, like that shouldn't be that hard to negotiate some sort of a thing. But like, let me look up one. I'm trying to finish off this video. There's just too much to cover. I'll go to Arena. What are they called? Renewable. Should be enough to find it. Yeah, these guys. So, I think Arena has had about 1 billion Australian dollars gone through of tax money going out to grants since it's existed over about the last 10 years. And in my opinion, they should be getting more than that. So that's what's that, 100 million a year. They should be getting $1 billion a year. And then companies, like where's the concentrated solar thermal, like Vast, he should be getting some of that. And then all these other little, we should have a fusion team in Australia that's getting funding and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, like, look at what the work ANU has done, and then they're not even, like, I don't think politicians even know about this. Otherwise, like, why would they not be talking about it in question time? Like, yeah, anyway, been a little bit all over the place for this video. I think I'll leave it there, but, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I could have scripted this better, but I just didn't really have to, I've only got so much time. Like, I haven't done many videos for a while, and I've been pretty busy with mixture of personal stuff and work, and developing things, R&D stuff just within Make Tech, and things for clients and whatever. But yeah, other little side projects as well for the community. So, but yeah, I've got a few videos I want to do, and actually, that's another thing I mentioned before I sign off is all the stuff that's happening with AI. I feel like for 3 reasons I should release a lot of IP, intellectual property, that is. So, whether it's CAD files or code for robots or whatever. I feel like we're in the start of the singularity, whatever label, and how do you put a label on a chunk of time? It was at this date the singularity started. Like, I don't know. I'm saying it started, we'll just say it started on January 1st, whatever. So the singularity started, and now, that means if I don't have my intellectual property protected in some way that stops other people from like a patent or copyright, if I don't have something that protects it, then someone else can just invent that using the new AI technology that's coming out, and they'll just, they can be the first one to go, hey everyone, this is a thing I've invented, Whereas if I release it, I'm the first person to, I get the clout, you know, so it's a bit of an ego thing, but that's the reality of the situation. So I can be the person that releases it to the world, and then if I can't stop anyone else from using it because I haven't protected it, then I might as well release it. I mean, that's kind of the other 2 points, basically just different versions of that. So I'm better off, you know, in all aspects to just release IP. So, you know, I don't really want to, but on the other hand, I think it's for the best. So there's a few things I'll be I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going to be publishing stuff like code for the robotic camera system I've worked on. Maybe not the whole thing, but there's some stuff that engineers and other people have said, you can't do that way because it doesn't work. But I know that you can, because that's exactly how I've done it. So little things like that, and then, you know, like even weird stuff like I made a pizza oven. That's a different method that other people haven't done before online. I haven't seen anyone else do it the way I've done it. It's a nice little way for a DIY pizza oven that people might want to copy my design. So I'll put all the CAD files for that. A few other things like little quirks with electronics. Things I've had to work out that are pretty tricky, and I'm just going to share more information basically and do more videos. So if you've hung in there with me for this whole video, well done. It was a pretty long one, dragged it out, but I haven't seen anyone else do a video that covers all these topics like this, so I thought it was worth doing. It's something I wanted to do for a while. So if you haven't seen me before on YouTube, then maybe consider subscribing, and you can see more of me, and you can see more of my intellectual property and stuff that I was talking about. So we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next or one of the next videos this year.